is a CFC special report. Warning: this report contains disturbing acts of violence. Viewer discretion is advised. Credible Messenger Central. Real confrontations, credible resources. An at-risk movement production. 1993 New York City blood gang emerged on Rikers Island as a result of grotesque assaults and slashings of black inmates by the most powerful gangs at the time, the Latin Kings and the Nettas.
I walked down the hallway and seen like 5, 6 young brothers with long, crazy gashes, slashes from the eye over here. I couldn't believe it. I said, what the fuck is that?
The Latin Kings did not allow black inmates to join their gang, but instead the gang's members were known to extort, assault, and oppress black inmates.
Take a sheet and make a Puerto Rican flag out of it. And put the Puerto Rican flag in the middle of the yard, boom, stab everything that's black.
In Latin King-controlled housing units on Rikers Island, black inmates were harassed, terrorized, and not even allowed to use the phone to call their families at home.
You have to sit right here. Sit over here, you're going to have problems. Don't worry about no phone time right now. We'll tell you when you get on the phone when we tell you to.
The Latin Kings were very feared and intimidating. But then, the Bloods came, very little at first, starting with approximately 5 members in 1993, exploding Rikers Island into a devastating wave of bloodshed and violence. At a magnitude that correctional officers had never seen before and was ill-equipped to manage.
So I came down in 1996 on a conspiracy charge. I landed in C-95. All right, 10 low. The Bloods and the Latin Kings was at war.
The Bloods would soon spread to some of the silent but dangerous blacks and Latinos in the population that were against the racism and oppression of the Latin Kings. The Bloods dominated the Latin Kings at war. The most dangerous and violent of them all were called predicate cutters.
Those are the ones you got the handcuffs with their hands in front of you with mittens on their hands.
So niggas built the cage on 4 building. They built the cage for predators. I became a predator.
In 1995, only a select few responsible for the most damage. They were segregated in the notorious HDM 1B house called the Dungeon. This is where most dangerous inmates are housed on Rikers Island.
Prisoners who were in this particular part, the Central Punitive Segregation Unit, the BANK, are the most dangerous prisoners in the prison system.
After a sweeping victory against the Latin Kings, the Bloods turned their wrath towards correction officers who were brutalizing inmates.
A pro team came in to end the melee, and then more inmates got involved. And it took a total of 35 officers to quell the melee.
Groundbreaking battles between the 1B predicates and correctional staff, the administration was forced to open OBCC and all of the 1B predicates were transferred to 1 South. This housing unit became notoriously known as 1 South Central. The battle with authorities intensified. The Bloods versus New York's boldest in a destructive battle for Rikers Island. LeBray Fulcher aka Breezy, arrested for a homicide in 1994. Sentenced to 18 to life, 1996 charged with multiple slashings on Rikers Island. Charged with gang assault against correction officers at Auburn Correctional Facility in 2003. Accused of multiple slashings in various state prisons. Served 26 years in prison. Gregory S. Brooks aka G-Money. Defendant G.S. Brooks, Bronx, New York, arrested on February 14, 1998 for assault on an officer, AD felony, resisting arrest and a misdemeanor, and obstructing governmental administration and a misdemeanor. Official report: while visiting Pedro Gutierrez on Rikers Island OBCC, defendant G.S. Brooks got into a verbal altercation with correction officers. During the exchange, G.S. Brooks struck officer, who fell to the ground semi-conscious. Other officers attempt to use force to restrain defendant Brooks. As a result, multiple officers was assaulted and injured. Defendant G.S. Brooks, Bronx, New York, arrested on July 24, 1998 for assault, AD felony. Official report: defendant accused of slashing another inmate on Rikers Island. Case dismissed. Defendant G.S. Brooks, Bronx, New York, arrested for criminal possession of a weapon, AC felony. Officers conducted a random stop and decide to search defendant Brooks's person and vehicle. Under the passenger side seat, officers find a 9mm loaded handgun. Officers place defendant Brooks under arrest. While being escorted to the 41st Precinct in the Bronx, handcuffed in the back of the police van, defendant Brooks jumped around an officer sitting in the middle compartment. Officers too shocked to move watched Brooks to jump out of the passenger side window of a moving police vehicle, headfirst on the Bruckner Expressway. Approximately 12 officers and 7 police vehicles had to respond. From 1994 to 2001, inmate Brooks was involved in several slashings and multiple gang riots. While in prison, inmate Brooks was sentenced to 5 years in the box for inciting a riot in Clinton Annex Vineyard.
New York City is, to me, the greatest city on earth. But when you look across that bay onto Rikers Island, that's not living, that's just existing.
The brief culture, out of this movement, Delaware was king.
It's Pompey Garrett, the case manager of Jamaica Queens.
My name is Trevon Donovan. I have a company called Corporate Reforms. Violence is a plague that is engulfing America. In every city, in every state, in this country.
Not just physical violence, but even emotional violence.
They put out a movie called The Purge, when we have a violence issue in America.
For me, it boils down to choices. Clearly, people have misunderstandings, they have issues going on in their communities, and they're making a choice to resolve those issues through violence.
I think the new generation got comfortable with it getting violent, as opposed to some of us felt we had to be violent to survive.
I contributed by community activities. I contributed by celebrating active violence.
We contribute a lot, by being prideful about what we did.
So it is my responsibility to let these youth know that the decisions that I made in the past was wrong.
No. But I'd rather you be unarmed than to be armed without the proper education.
You go to the community and see what they need. Because every community, like I use a courtyard, a block, a project, and a corner. None of them is the same crowd.
You can save a life or help a life by getting in touch with the right person that can help this.
We all possess the power to change. And I am the perfect example of that change. Furthermore, me being the one who has committed acts of violence in my community, it is squarely on me to get back to my community.
What we have to do is try to get to the root of the situation and see what is triggering these things that kids feel like they have to have done.
I feel like they just need to know that they have choices and there are other ways to address and deal with issues that you may have.
It's a time and an order for you to finally grow up in somebody's time, and whether yours or somebody else's. But when it does come in and it's consistent, you're done up.
Eradicated that.
You can't have an example or stop something without those that stop. Those that stop it, push the message, and stop and everything down.
It's everybody. And I think they would be more accepting because they can identify with it.
When we was young, we chose not to listen to those critical messages. Now, they not necessarily have to listen. I have to remember the times when I didn't listen.
So when they like it, now it's on truth.
messages are credible because of their life experience.
Once you relate it, you're automatically credible. Because you have to relate to the person who's giving the message. You can say that you're a credible messenger, but it really doesn't apply, honestly, in my opinion, until the recipients say you did it. You see that you're playing a part, whether they say to you, and jump back to the part. Talk to the truth. Go through the process. You see somebody who's passionate and empathize with them, that feel their pain, you can relate.
Things they've done, things they've seen, places they've been, places they've lived. These are things that make them credible.
I think our own program, at-risk movement.
At-risk movement.
I have to live what they might have been thinking about. They relate to their hopes, their expectations, the way they vision. You gotta think about somebody with their stories, and then you make them a big giant. They really is a regular, made human. But sometimes the message that I feel is credible and I gain the right perception from might not always come instantly.
To be the light of the change. Show these youth what they can be. Today I live my life as a credible messenger. Meet people being released from Rikers Island, escort them to their place of residence. This may be a family member, it may be their own apartment, it may be a shelter, or some other form of assisted living facility. Maybe they may have appointments that they have to make before they go home and see a parole officer or probation officer. I will escort them in. I also do intakes when I sign people up to receive services from the company that I work for. Services we provide are job readiness services, resume writing, we connect them to housing services, mental health services, HRA services, at-risk movement, gun awareness training, empower your community.
Grand Rising, America. My name is G.S. Brooks of the At-Risk Movement, and today I want to inform you of the purpose of the At-Risk Movement. The At-Risk Movement purpose is to save youth that are at risk of being a statistic. We offer mentoring services for court-involved youth or youth that live in struggling communities. The purpose of the At-Risk Movement is to reduce the rising levels of violence in the at-risk community. According to NYC.gov, in 2020, the arrests for the month of November were up 112.3%, driving a 22.2% increase in citywide gun arrests compared with the same period a year ago. Empower your community. Go to www.atriskmovement.com. My name is G.S. Brooks of the At-Risk Movement, and I approve this message.
Empower your community. Go to www.atriskmovement.com. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976.